So the first phase is the raid stacking up into center of the room. And as you see on the minimap over here, we got these chambers, and then we got the entrance of the room being blocked and also working as a chamber, and then you have the boss behind us here. So the boss doesn't do anything at all in the first phase. And the first phase, as you see up here, is about 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes, this is what the fight is about. The ads are gonna come to life one by one, move towards the center. Now, these small skeletons, if they reach somebody in melee range, fuck, I forgot what the fuck they did. So the Soul Weaver is the one that if it touches anybody, it will deal a massive amount of AoE damage. Oh yeah, the small skeletons will do a small AoE damage. I believe that's... They do AoE shadow damage to the raid, yes. But not very much. It's just an annoyance, right? The raid can survive getting hit by... Like, let's say the small skeleton reaches somebody and lands a melee attack, then they will do AoE damage, but it's not enough to kill anybody, but it will still suck. However, the big ghosts-like looking things, if they touch somebody, they also do AoE, but that will wipe the raid. I believe that's how it is. So as you can hear, this is not something that really happens a lot. I don't think we ever have had a wipe to this on K1. Nobody ever got hit by the ghosts. But again, we also had pretty good gear by then, right? Naxxramas came out like a year after AQ40, so we had like amazing gear at this point. We were able to dish out a lot of damage, and I don't know. We'll see how comfortable we are at that. But anyways, the golems here need to be tanked and need to be killed by the melee, while obviously the ghosts can't be attacked by melee because nobody can get close to them. And the same thing with the skeletons. Melees don't want to go over and bash the skeletons, right? You're just gonna take damage, like AoE damage. So this is the whole first phase of the fight. And the video is speed up, so now we only got 30 seconds left of it, and near the end, the ads are gonna spawn a little bit more rapidly. And it's gonna feel like there's more things to kill near the end of the phase. And that also means that there might even be ads alive when the second phase begins. And this is not a big deal, right? We just kill the ads, and the ghosts move so slow that the ranged can take care of them and kite them around, right? It has like nearly 80% health, but that's fine. It moves so slowly that the ranged can kill the ad while the boss is being done here at the middle here. So what we got here, I've got so much shit to pay attention to. I need to slow this down. So the boss is being tanked in the middle. The melee are being spread out. This here is I forgot what the name of this is. But basically, after like 5 seconds, there's gonna be like a shadow thing coming up here, and it's gonna kill you if you don't move out of it. And for the melee, this ring can also spawn underneath, I believe it's called Shadow Fissure. It can also spawn beneath the melee, and because they're stacking up, like with 3 or 4 people on top of each other, it seems like over here, that means that all will need to move. Detonate mana is another thing, which is happening over here. That's the arcane explosion looking thing. Basically, when you have detonate mana, you get like sparkles all around you, and then you need to make sure that you're not standing close to any other players, because you're gonna detonate, lose a lot of your mana, and drain a lot of mana from everybody around you, or deal damage or something. Basically, don't stand next to other people. But that's not a problem because you're at this point you should already know your position. At this point, you should also already have practiced what your positions are gonna be in this second phase. And similarly to Sethune, you're gonna make sure that when you're standing, you're not standing close to anybody else. You're using the space of the Now, luckily, a good way to do this is by basically you can use the room for practice before without aggroing the boss. The first phase starts when somebody moves into this ring. So when you move into the room, you can practice your positions like for phase two without worrying about aggroing anything. So by the time you get to the second phase, everybody should know where they need to be, and there shouldn't really be much thinking going on, and it should not be chaotic at all. Basically, just move to your position, and then the only thing to worry about once you're there is to when you're on and this is underneath you, and when you get detonate mana, you just make sure that you're not standing close to anybody, right? So not too much to worry about here. It looks like there's a lot of stuff going on, but there really isn't. Famous last word. Okay, let's continue. So what we got here is the AoE Frost Volley, and I resisted that. I still have a lot of frost resistance. I'm still using the gear that I used as Sapphiron. Because, well, you're just going to resist a lot of damage, and that's going to help everybody out. Like some people say you only need frost resistance for Sapphiron, but in terms of this fight, the only damage that I'm going to take is the frost damage. So, if I can help the healers out a little bit by not taking a lot of damage, then might be a little bit slower, but again, for progression, the objective is to have uptime on the fight, not necessarily to kill it. The objective is to stay alive for as long time as you need to practice the encounter without having to repop your fucking consumer. That's the whole purpose of progression, is getting as much practice in with as few consumers as possible. That's the whole, at least my opinion. So this what we got here is mind control. Keep an eye out on people getting mind control and polymorph them, CC him. Nothing new. We've seen this mechanic before. Keep in mind though, that could be a little tricky when people like priests get mind controlled, they psychic scream, people, positions get all messed up. Just go back to your position afterwards and you're fine. So you see 4,000 damage from the Frostbolt volley, but a nature protection potion took care of a lot of that. So 4,000 damage, that's like, I would say that's a good reason to use some frost resistance gear. Another source of incoming damage is the frost blast. I actually got an add-on for it here, but it's basically a healer add-on. It tells you who is in a block of ice and needs to be healed, basically. Whenever you're in the blocks of ice, you take, I believe, 20% of your health and damage every 20 every seconds or something. And because this is overtuned, they do a little bit more. Not entirely sure, but the point is keeping track of the frost blast, and the target might not be in range of you, but he might be, right? So you cannot really pay too much attention to 130% of the health within 6 seconds. That's probably right. So it is like when as a healer, you don't really worry too much about like who these targets are. If you are in range to heal them, you just heal them, because there's not really that much else to heal here, except for people not wearing frost resistant gear and taking a ton of damage over time. So the possible mind control happens about roughly every 1 minute and lasts like 15 seconds. I think we can speed this up again. So keep track on how much I'm actually moving on this encounter. Like even though there's a lot of things that you need to react to, I'm not really moving that much. Nobody else is either, right? I'm moving in to be in range to polymorph somebody, then I'm moving back to my position. I'm moving out of the Shadow Fissure, giving myself advantage. This is the hardest fight, okay? But there's not that much to react to. It gets more tricky at the third phase. We're still in the second phase now. This is my Sethune water add-on. Tells me when I'm close to the. I'm not that good at watching it apparently. Okay. Right, so when the boss, I believe, I can't remember, it's 40 or 30%. When he gets down to, okay, let's see. Yeah, okay, so 40% is phase 3. That's when the guardians are gonna spawn. And so that there at the back is a guardian. And as you see, that can be shackled. So make sure to shackle it. There's gonna be, I believe, 4 or 5 in total. And yeah, 5 in total. And you can only shackle 4 of them. It's not like there's one that you can't. All of them can be shackled. But the point is that if you have 5 shackles up at the same time, 3, sure. All right. Well, we'll figure that out. But you might be right. So 3 shackles at the same time here, and basically, if somebody tries to shackle the 4th one, then all the shackles break, and that means that we can use shackles and we should use shackles, but we should not use shackles mindlessly. You have to keep track on how many shackles are going out, and the priests that are close to them will have to do it, right? If you just assign 3 priests to shackle, but those 3 priests are fucking other end of the room, then that's no good, right? So the priests need to communicate and spam some kind of macro and saying, no more shackles or something. Somebody needs to make sure that that doesn't screw up. It also means another thing. It means that there's going to be 2 of these guardians which need to be tanked, and they need to be tanked for the rest of the fight. So even though you need how many tanks do you need on this? You need 1, and then you need a backup, right? Because the tank might get mind control, right? You got a backup. I feel like I'm forgetting like something with the tanks and like how many tanks you.
From the guide I read earlier, you want 3 tanks
From
at least.
from the boss.
Well, in phase 1, and then when the mind controlling, well, basically when the tanks, the 3 tanks, they need to be high on threat, right? And when the Nerubians spawn, basically the lowest tank just tanks one of the Nerubians. That's at least what I read on the guide that was linked on the forums, but I'm not sure.
Okay. The Prophet says all stop DPS, each mind control. Yep. Right. Yeah. So every time mind control happens, there's gonna be a threat reset, and in case the tank gets mind control, right? You don't want to aggro. So whenever a mind control is incoming, everybody stops their damage, and only tanks keeps going. And then whoever is tanking after that, whoever has the aggro of the 3 tanks, he's gonna be the tank. And then in the third phase, when these guardians need to tank, well, the 2 tanks that don't have the aggro at that point, they go off and grab a guardian each. So if the guardians are not picked up, if the guardians go from target to target, they actually grow stronger. Every time the guardian changes target, he gains a buff, and he deals more damage. So make sure that we have tanks, when the third phase is about to begin, right at 40%, then the tanks quickly realize, okay, who's gonna be lower on the threat, who's going off to grab guardians.